Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Monday, it's November 14th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And really, it was a range day. You can see our prices early on are just swinging above and below the EMA. We kind of started down a little steeper here, but still, we're going sideways here. We dropped on down, we came back, we just continued to kind of go sideways back inside the original high and low of the overnight, which generally that leads to tells you it's pretty much telling you there's a range type day. However, there is a two-tiered channel working lower here. You couldn't find it till a little later in the morning. Um, you really couldn't find it off the low side, so you had to wait for this swing. But if you drew it off that swing and then pulled it down, it did fit in here, and we did bounce exactly where you would expect it to. It was still a little difficult to see it because of this big overshoot here, but that happens sometimes in the overnight. So we're just make sure you make a mental note of that. That sometimes you'll get a break outside a channel in the overnight because the volume is so thin, but that channel will still be valid. And really when I first came in, I was looking at this channel right here being a channel within the range. And notice that we got a little break here, and it took a while. We finally moved to a new low and we reversed. But by that time, you could find this bigger channel. And I think if you use the shorter term trends within that bigger channel, you came out a whole lot better. So I left this original one on here just so I could show you what I was seeing earlier on. But I'm going to move through these pretty quickly today. I have a personal thing event I have to attend tonight, so I'm going to try to get through here pretty quick and get this uploaded. But anyway, when I came in, this is what it looked like. Prices were bouncing off this big, huge sell-off here, and we're moving up. It was tempting to go long here, but I don't think you got enough information to go long, and you don't really want to go short there either. You got a big bearish bar here, but it's got some stem, and it didn't break below that bar, and so I don't think I want to go short there on that first entry. So, um, and I really don't want to go long there. I'd be more apt to go long here than I would be short, simply because I'd drawn this off here and drug it up, and it did pretty much fit off these first couple of swings. So I was looking for prices to go higher here anyway. So you might take this first trade. Um, it came in about 7:30 or so. Um, I'll give it a green one, but I think you're better off to wait. It turned out to be a nice move, but you don't know that it doesn't hit the EMA and just kind of work sideways or something there. There's actually enough room to probably get out before you get to the EMA. So, but I'm just not crazy about taking it. But I would take that before I'd take the short. So I think you need to be thinking long here. But notice once you get two legs up, you do shoot through this EMA. But look how far away we are from the EMA, and we got a big bearish bar there. So I like that one just to ride it back. Then we just kind of start going sideways here. It's a little tempting to go short here because you're looking for a test of this low based on this bigger two-tier channel, but this is a range day, so we could be going higher. So I wasn't crazy about going short into that EMA like that. I think you're better off to skip that. You might have drawn this little trend line down through here too, and that would have been the first break. But by the time that sets up, look how we're going sideways there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars. It's right into that EMA. And notice what happens. It turns down and fails, and then it turns and goes up. So you might, and it actually went lower again before it went higher below that little doji right there. Hopefully you can see that. Let me try to make it a little bigger. Um, so you might have considered going long there. We were still looking for, I'm still thinking this is probably a range day, so maybe we're headed back up here. And you've got a little close outside this bar here, but it's so iffy. I mean, you could actually move that down, and then it's kind of iffy. You still get a close on this one, but it's really kind of iffy. So we might still shoot up for a new high. So that was another reason I liked going long off the EMA there. You got just enough to get out of that one, then it turns down again. So I like the short really better than anything at that point, because we're back up here at the high, and you do have enough room to get out before you get back down to these lows. We're kind of going sideways there. It actually goes lower, pulls back, gives you a first entry short, pulls back again. You actually confirmed your trend line on that bar. Notice your first two swings, then that one, and this is just another shorter term trend within here. Let me move this one, take some of these off that we don't need anymore, just so it's not so cluttered. Um, but that bar is so big, and you're having to go short right into those lows. But it does confirm the trend line right there. But when you get a little higher low here, I like maybe entering on that one because, again, it's proven this trend line out. But I would let it break lower and then come back some and try to get enough, a few ticks in at least to get out from here. And if you couldn't get out before you reach these lows, I'd skip this one. It would have worked no matter what, but you don't know that ahead of time, so you got to play it properly. And then somebody else sent me an email right here asking about this trade. I guess they went short right here, and they got fooled, and it went higher and ticked one tick higher and stopped them out and then went exactly where they thought it was going to go. But what I noticed is they don't draw their channel. And you see that channel working up. That's the first close outside. And we're kind of going sideways again, so there's a good chance it ticks up. You can't be early. You got to let it play out. And sometimes you'll want to get in here because you're afraid you're going to miss a trade, but then you get trapped like this only to see it go exactly where you think it's going to go. And so even then, even here, I'm a little bit leery of it on my chart because it's not a perfect signal bar. I probably would have let it break lower here and then let it come back a little bit and then enter with a limit order. But you could have used a stop here because we're probably going to go test this low. It's very likely, but we're still above the EMA. It's still kind of going sideways, but that is that little one tick higher that creates a trap and then turns down. And you actually got another little double bar matching high there too. So I kind of like that one to the downside. And then look what happens. We get our reversal pattern here. And I did forget to mark this long right here. This one should have been marked long. But this is your perfect reversal pattern. Notice that you got your break, a new low, and then you get a first entry, and then you shoot right through the EMA, pull back, test it. You get a second entry, and if you drew that trend line right there off those and drug it over to there, it bounces right there. Just go long there. You might even consider entering here with that lower high, but it's so close to these highs right across here, I'd skip it if you couldn't get in here. And of course it goes up, and it suddenly just turns down right here. And notice what I did was I drew this trend line off those first two swings from here to here. I don't know that it's going to be any good yet. You got to just kind of wait and see. But when it ticked higher, notice there's a double top here. This is why I really like this one. There's a double top here. So this is like another test of that double top. And look how far away we are from the EMA. I don't like it entering on the first entry, but when it tried to go higher there again, and you get a double test of that double top and that big bearish bar, I like getting in right there and seeing if it's not going to head back down and test these lows. It's like the range is just tightened up here. Your lows are a little higher than where I originally had it, and the highs are running across this level here at about 2167. So it's just like the range tightened up basically. And you probably would have wanted to draw this line right across here like so. Really by later in the day it was right there. By the time you get to these next two trades we're going to talk about. But that turns out to be a nice trade. There's actually a failed second entry long there. Again, it's stacking up there and it's right into the EMA, so I don't like it. Generally, you want to see that get through the EMA first, and it comes back right here. And this is really a double top, so that you can treat this like a first entry, pull back second entry, a failure, go short there off the EMA. But then it comes back again and creates another double top and gives you another chance to enter. Another big bearish bar. And that kind of set the trend line. And then we're moving on down. This is a double top, so this was really a failed second entry long here, but you got to go short right into that. And I just didn't see any other. This is where you had to get really patient here. I don't think you want to go short there, and I don't think you want to be going long here because this possible trend line working here. And notice we came off the highs here, and so if you drug this down to that last low, you could have, your midline would have fit really nicely right across here as well. So, and notice we came off the high and we just bounced off the low. So where we probably headed back to the high. But what we ended up getting, this basically right in across here and then going down is a repeat pattern of what we had back here. You're moving up, you start going sideways, and then you go down. Move up, you start going sideways, and you go down. It's a much tighter, but it's really just kind of a repeat pattern. And notice all that resistance right there. Your line's a little bit higher here. And you got the double test and then another several tests. And so I like that for a short. It's a little failed break higher out of all that resistance right there. And then look at it push through, pull back, push down one more time and come back. There's your failure, your failed second entry long. It went higher and then turned and went out. I like going short right there. Looking for it to test that low. And so these were two pretty good shorts. Then we're moving down and then we get another reversal here. Look at that big move up through, pull back first entry. You go back and then it turns down there for your second entry short. It fails. And again, you could draw your line off these highs right across here and drag it down to the low. And it bounces in there. This was almost the same repeat pattern of this right back up here again. So I like that for a long. And then it comes back and it verifies the trend line. You draw your trend lines right there on those two. That's your verification. Another big bullish bar. Go long. You expect it to at least come back and test this breakout area. And it may get back into the range, which it does. There's actually a second entry long right here that you probably should have taken as well. I was trying to go back and forth whether or not to make it green. But actually, if you look at that in real time, I mean, that's right off the trend line, second entry long. We're back inside the original range low. I think you got to make that one blue. So I'm going to make it blue. I like that setup. You don't expect it to jump right there. I know why I was contemplating whether or not which way to go with it, because it was right back into the original trend line, but we did push back, and I think the range is a bigger pattern today. So that still makes it almost possible to be green there, but it's real close. But I think if you look at that at the hard right hand side, second entry long after pushing through and pulling back and testing this again, I like that one for a long. And then we push up, we get an overshoot here, go higher, you get a lower high. This is a repeat pattern of, where is it? It was right here, and there was another one somewhere. But anyway, I like it. It's a lower high, good ways away from the EMA. Easy scalp back to the EMA. You did have to be careful because there's no break, but you got a break of the bigger channel here, so you're probably going to try to go lower again. But the range ends up holding. It gets a little bit below that again and then bounces. But notice this working down. It's tempting to try to get short in here, but this is why you can't. We're just going sideways again, so you just kind of got to see it, and then finally you get a little break higher above these highs and big bearish bar. I like that one. Again, I went back and forth whether to make that one green, but I think there's enough reason there to make it red. Just trying to test these lows again, especially if this channel, you can see that little channel working down. me put another arrow right there. And you can see the break and then a move to a new low and then it reversed. And on this one, you can see it come down. You get a break, move to a new low on it, and it reverses, what I meant to say. So I don't think you want to take that reverse, that long right there, because it's just going sideways. It is a failed break lower, because I mean, this is just a range. You can see this would have been a little lower by this time. You can see the highs up here, and then there's your lows, and that's a failed break lower. It's not a real good signal bar though. It's more of a neutral bar. So you might give it a green one. I think you're better off to skip it this late in the day. It turns out to be a nice trade, but you just don't know that ahead of time. So I think you're better off to skip it. So anyway, that's what I saw today. You can, let me back out and just kind of show you again. You can see that notice how we're constantly above and below the EMA. Even though it's got a downward bias, it has a neutral look and feel to it. And whenever you're swinging back and forth above and below the EMA, you can trade it both ways pretty comfortably, even if you're in a downtrend like this. So just keep that in mind. But really, this is a range day, and this is just a bigger channel within the range. So, but yeah, that's what I saw. Not a real difficult day if you were patient when you got to certain. You had to be, you know, just like from here, from about 9:30 to really almost 11. There's not much happening. You just had to be patient there. And then you had a couple of shorts, and then you had to be patient through all this, and you had a couple of longs. So there was some periods here you had to be just patient today. And somebody else sent me an email, and we talked about that you just, you know, it's how important being patient is, and that if you just be patient and wait on the sure things and not do anything dumb when you're unclear what's happening, then you'll really improve your trading. So, but anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.